Stephen A. Smith, he went on this Rubin podcast, and I keep seeing him clips saying like, Republicans, deserve this, and they came out and voted, and what he really wants to say is I voted red, but he's not gonna say it because it's crazy. We live in a world where he's gonna lose his like brand deals, probably lose whatever he's gonna lose just because he said he voted for Donald Trump. He won't say it. He did, but he won't say it. Let's see what he says.
Tip my hat to the Republicans, to the conservatives out here and what they did in this last election. Again, I did not vote for Donald Trump. Unlike
he keeps saying that, but every time he talks, it sounds like he did.
People that suddenly turned around and kissing his ring and trying to feign like they're suddenly a supporter of his. No, I did not vote for him, but I got to tell you something. I'm not mad he won. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mad he won.
Yeah. That's so make this make sense to me. You're not mad he won because why? You like his policies? You don't like Kamala's policies? You don't like how the America's doing? So that means in turn you would vote for Republican. So make it make sense to me. I don't understand.
Because when I see, especially in the aftermath of the election, some of the things that transpired with the Democratic Party, in an effort to manipulate the election and the vote, it really ticked me off. You can't sit up there standing on your pedestal, pretending to be paragons of virtue and pointing out all that ails our country because of the conservatives and the right, and then turn around and provide all the ammunition in the world for us to look at you and say, how are you much different?
That's the smartest thing he's ever said in his whole career. And he's still saying he didn't vote red.
Basis. And so when that happened, all of a sudden people saw my opinions and said, all right, did you see what Stephen A. said? And then they start commenting about it and then wanting me to come on their shows to challenge me. And my attitude is, listen, because of my opinions, because of the platform that I have available to me, the last thing I have a license to do is run. I'm not going to do that. So when people want to talk to me, as long as they know how to act like they have some damn...
Really felt like you had to get into the political thing? Because I kid you not, I remember watching when you joined ESPN, I think 2003 or so.
Yes, cold weather and high tax.
That's the person. It's like, okay, I see what Steven's doing here.
Yeah.
Don't necessarily agree with that, but I always said, let's sit down and talk about that one day.
Absolutely.
And now here we are. So let's back up for a second because you are New Florida, man. You escaped. I escaped 2 years ago.
Florida.
You have now escaped.
Yes, I have.
What caused the escape?
Cold weather and high taxes.
The best state in the country, Florida.
Was that the order?
That is the order. That is definitely the order because born and raised in New York, born in the Bronx, raised in Hollis, Queens, New York since I was 1 year
A liberal shithole over there.
old. Went to school down in Winston-Salem State in North Carolina, but obviously that's the East Coast, Eastern region, and it gets cold down there too, just like it gets cold in New York. I just got over the cold weather. I had a beautiful house in all that ails our country because of the conservatives and the right, and then turn around and provide all the ammunition in the world for us to look at you and say, how are you much different? Even today, we are the 67th president of the United States about the insurrection.
Yeah.
Now,
It's not an insurrection.
let me be very clear. I believe it was an insurrection.
Oh, he was doing so good, man. He was doing so good. See? He started saying a lot of logical stuff, and then he just goes off and says that, man.
I don't believe everybody there was insurrectionists. I don't believe everybody there engaged in lawlessness. But to those who did, they deserve to be punished.
But if you broke the law?
You broke the law, you broke the law. Having said that, there
I agree. There's definitely a couple bad apples.
does come a point in time to move on. I am completely disgusted that Judge Mershon, is that how you pronounce his name? What the hell are you doing?
That's the New York case,
we're still gonna sentence the president. Really? Really? What you gonna do? You gonna put him in jail? You know you're not gonna put him in jail, right? Okay. What are you gonna do with him? You gonna find him? You gonna find the president of the United States? Really gonna do that? Okay. How does that benefit us as a nation? You lost. Move on. Now it's time to move forward. So when we talk about, folks that are serving time in jail, I'm not going to sit here and advocate that they be released. What I'm going to say to you,
hindsight, man.
that Hillary was going to win. How dare you do that? How dare you put, if you truly believe this country needs to tilt a certain way, and you have millions upon millions of people who support that thinking, how dare you think about just yourself and talk about, I want a woman to provide to pick my successor. You can't make that assumption.
Ego
you got to
and
take what you got
legacy
to
do weird
ego,
things, huh?
ego, legacy. Why am I doing that? I'll bring it home for you. What do they talk about with Trump? Ego, legacy. He cares about Trump.
Yeah.
He cares about his legacy. The hell with the benefit of the country. Well, then why have you given us this ammunition to look at you and say, the hell with everybody else. I want to do what I want to do. Are you not guilty of the same kind of things? And that is the way that
he's waking up. Stephen A. Hey, look, I'll bet you right now. What year is next election? 2028? I bet you Stephen A. Smith in 2028, he comes out as Republican. Or he votes Republican. He probably did this time, but he's just too scared to admit it. Truthfully. He's saying a lot of good things. Honestly, just not.
that I think. And that is the stuff that I pay attention to, because I've had politicians call me and try to convince me to think a certain way and speak a certain way. And when you pick up the phone and call me, I'm talking about me.
The two guys that I played most that I thought were sort of like sane liberals leading up to election, it was you and Bill.
Right.
So almost every day on my show, clip from you, clip from him. What's going on with these guys? They're trying to fight the good fight.
Even though I don't consider myself a liberal, but go ahead.
What does that mean? You are, well, you're not. He's a closeted Republican.
but within...
Yes, I understand.
Within like a wide sense,
Sure.
liberal, something like that. I really thought, and I think I said it on my show like 2 weeks before the election, I was like, I think Stephen A. is going to vote for Trump. I knew Bill was not going to. I know him well enough that he was staking out that position. Okay, fine. And I can live with that and be friends with him, of course.
Right.
So you've mentioned it a couple of times that you didn't vote for him and tweets and things of that nature. What was like, was it really just at the end you were like, I just can't deal with the tweets? Because the tweets don't exist as much anymore. The name calling isn't quite as much anymore. And yet I can sense.
He has dialed it back. He has dialed it back to his credit.
The way you described yourself before, fiscal conservative, you care about the border and foreign policy and one or two
he cares about all that, but he can't vote for Trump.
other things. Those are, and socially liberal.
Right.
Those are all Trump things. So like, what was was there just something else that was just a roadblock there?
Let's call it what it is. There's a lot of people that won't admit this. I'm going to admit it. I was a bit misinformed. Let's call it what it is. And that pressure emanating from my community, I'm tired of it. I think that's one of the reasons you see me sounding. Patrick Bet-David alluded to that as well, talking about me. And they're right. They're right. Because with Obama in 2008, I knew I had the pleasure of knowing Senator McCain. I had my show, quite frankly, on ESPN2. I interviewed him for an hour, and he had kept in touch throughout the years. And there was only one reason I didn't vote for him, because there was no way that a black man was going to be the Democratic nominee for the first time in American history, and I was going to go to the polls and pull that lever for somebody else. That was not happening. Now, in 2012, I could feel differently, but 2008, because I had this conversation with
John McCain was a bad Republican nominee, truthfully, though.
Many conservatives. I said, I got my guy, my friend that's a Republican to vote for opportunity to mess.
Understand that.
And decent, good man. In my eyes, and my personal communication with him, there isn't another liberal alive that could have ran against him that I would have voted for ahead of John McCain. It had to be somebody as special in my eyes as Barack Obama. Kamala Harris was somewhat similar from the standpoint, she was a black woman. I thought that the Democrats would have probably lose the House or the Senate, if not both. And my desire to have order, to have to dissipate chaos, the chaos that I assumed would be forthcoming. And when Barack Obama spoke to those black men in Pittsburgh and alluded to misogyny being the reason that they weren't voting.
That's insanity.
For Kamala Harris. I was highly offended by that. I was highly offended by that.
Because it's idiotic. Oh, she's a woman. I can't have a woman run the country. No, she's the worst. She's the worst presidential candidate ever to run. I don't even know how she got 72 million votes or whatever.
And I remember this, I think his name is Officer Tatum. He has his own podcast and stuff like that. And,
he's a buddy.
You know, right? And I don't know him. I've never met him, but I look forward to meeting him one day. Yeah. But I remember how he was going off about that, and it was totally right. I was like, the nerve, because wait a minute.
Nerve.
I can't, you go on The View and they ask you, is there anything about Barack Obama, I'm sorry, not about President Biden, that you found wrong, anything that you would do different? You can't think of anything? Yeah. With 12.5 million people crossing the border? Really? You can't think of anything?
Yeah, I'm ending right here, man. I'm going to say, though, I'm proud that Stephen A. has such a big platform. And he's actually, saying some logical things. I mean, at some point, we got to start being logical to make this country great again. Like I said, 2028, Stephen A. Smith, J.D. Vance. We'll see how it goes, though. But, I mean, it's crazy because he said he voted for Democrat. I mean, if he did vote for Democrat, he's probably one of the most logical people that voted for Democrats. We'll see, though. We'll see y'all next time.